the principal system analyst from the University of Ibadan. Also, part of our speakers today, Engineer Kazim Suleiman, MNSE, Head of Regional Support and Network Abundance for Airtel. We also have Ibrahim Hussein Abdul Karim, convener, We Together Nigeria. We will do the best we can to ensure that we work within the time frame and schedules of today's program. And from our understanding, if the secretary isn't available, may I quickly run to the program of events? And I'm going to crave indulgence, especially all our speakers, to try as much as possible to adhere strictly to the time frame. We'll be having shortly the national anthem. After which we're going to have the welcome address by Chief Mrs. Ayobola. So let's have the national anthem. Thank you so much. We will have the welcome address, and to deliver that is the Executive Director, LGI, Mrs. Ayobola Abiola Pella. Mrs. Pella is a Big Four, trained chartered accountant, finance director, and senior audit manager with over 20 years experience working in finance, which include PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG, Deloitte, EY, Grant Thornton. Having worked in various supervisory roles at their respective London offices over the years, she did graduate in 1998 from Obafemi Awolowo University, and thereafter, in 2002, she obtained a Graduate Merit Scholarship Award to study a master's degree at the prestigious London School of Economics. Let's have the welcome address from Executive Director, Mrs. Ayobola Abiola Pella.
Stanley is going to come on now. Our National Secretary is going to come on the call now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown, and thank you very much, all our dear participants, our distinguished guests as well. I'm so sorry, before our Executive Director, Chief Mrs. Ayobola Pella, comes up for her welcome address, we would want to have a proper introduction of the Lead Generation Initiative, an organization that was established 2 years ago with the purpose of creating a credible platform for young persons across different states and across all parts of this country to channel their creativity, their aspirations, and then to drive their energies towards community development, taking responsibility for building a nation that works for all of us. And for the last 2 years, we've continued to ensure that our core objectives and aim of building such system, such communities, and a country where the citizens take active role and get involved in ensuring that we build a country that works for all of us is being actualized. We have just not done this alone through one program. We have done that through our Get Involved Leadership program. We've done that through our Women Development Leadership program. We've done that through our Open Craft events. We've done that also through organizing a partnership engagement with other credible organizations, including the Yaga Africa, We Together, Now Initiative, among other credible organizations. We are proud and happy that 2 years after the organization is established, that we've been to 8 states directly, 19 states indirectly, and then we've trained over 2,602 direct state local government supervisors. We've trained more than 150 state coordinators, and then we have today on our dashboard more than 2.7 million general membership. We are glad that 2 years after our establishment, the Women Leadership Development Program has empowered 12 persons, 12 young ladies, promising young ladies, whose business ideas we were able to support at the last leadership event we did for them, marking the International Women's Day. As we prepare for this year on, we also followed to ensure that they do not just take the grants, but also invest the grant properly to the business idea they pitch to us, and that the business ideas are being scaled and jobs are being created, and also income are being meant for the corporations as they are. And we are glad also that 2 years after our establishment, we've gone to almost all parts of this country to ensure that young persons fully understand their stake, their place, and the involvement in building a nation that works for all of us. We are glad and we are happy that before 2023 general election, we are able to achieve fully our goal of bringing on board more than 10 million young Nigerians on this platform. With the strategic plan we have on ground now, as we celebrate and mark our 2nd year anniversary, we are happy and confident that the conversation we are discussing today, engaging for credible elections, the role of youth and tech, that through that conversation also, and through discussions after, we're able to set the model and the standard that would enable us to actualize our vision towards the last 15 months to which we have on our strategic timeline. It's on this note I want to sincerely thank everyone for being part of this program today. I want to thank Mr. Brown, Isaac Brown, who has graciously been part of this conversation for the last 30 minutes and then has held forth in keeping the meeting and the conversation going. May I now respectfully invite our Executive Director, Chief Ms. Ayobola Pela, the lady who has graciously, intelligently, who has shown leadership and who has, in all ramifications, shown that whatever a man can do, a woman can as well do it incredibly well as well. We are happy and proud of the leadership that you provided for the last 2 years. And as we start this conversation today, we want to have a welcome address as a guide into what the conversation would look like. Thank you very much, our Executive Director. You have the floor now.
Thank you very much, Stanley. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the delay in starting this morning. We had some unforeseen technical issues, and because we're all over the country and outside the country, but we thank God that we have been able to resolve everything promptly and we're back on track. And so it is for this reason that I would like to keep my welcome address very short so that we can get into the conversations that we're all looking forward to having today. So thank you, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for your patience and joining this Leadership Summit in celebration of our second anniversary. 2 years of consistently and purposefully leading in the training and development of Nigerian youth for civic engagement, social inclusion, and leadership skills towards building a better Nigeria. Our theme for this anniversary summit is engaging for credible elections, role of the youth and technology. We shall be looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats surrounding this. With the 2023 general elections in view and the events leading up to it, we have decided that the most important conversation to be having at this moment is about the immediate future of our dear country. That is why we have invited notable speakers here today who are experts on the theme and who will contribute richly to the conversation here today. So without further ado, once again, I welcome you all to this Leadership Summit. I say congratulations to all of us for 2 years of success, and we look forward to better things in the future and a better future for our country. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Madam. And I think it's time for us to go straight away to the next on the schedule, which is the keynote address by the founder of this initiative himself. Is no other person than Honorable Shina Pella. Of course, Honorable Shina Pella, being the founder of the Lead Generation Initiative, also has the Shina Pella Youth Network, help the Blind and Handicapped Foundation, Shina Pella Foundation, Aquila Group of companies, Shina Your Empowerment Program, SAP Farms, and so many others. Honorable Shina Pella is also a member of the Federal House of Representatives, representing saying Itesiwaju, Kajola, and Iwajoa Federal Constituency. He is the Ayedero of Yoruba land, the proprietor of peace and the promoter of peace and prosperity, the voice of the common man, an avid supporter and advocate of the youth in Nigeria. I love to call him Omolowo Idan, all of us there in the States. Let me welcome, as he presents his keynote address, the founder, Lead Generation Initiative, Honorable Shina Pella.
Thank you very much, Mayor Isaac Brown. Thanks so much for your support and for joining on this Zoom to mark the second anniversary of Lead Generation Initiative. I'm sure everyone here knows what Lead Generation stands for. And we initiated Lead Generation as an opportunity to build a new generation of leaders in Nigeria. And the reason is this: we believe that we have so much resources as a nation, natural resources, human capital resources, which of course should translate to results. But it is unfortunate that resources don't translate itself to results except with the people and good leadership. And due to bad governance or bad leadership, we have met ourselves where we are. And as a generation, I believe that every generation will come to an end. So whether we like it or not, hello? If you're living and you're part of this generation, you should count yourself lucky that we are alive. But at the same time, the fear is we belong to a generation that if we don't take time, we will be wiped out, of this system. Because whether we like it or not, God created land and God created men after God created land. And God is calm God is not storm. God is light. God is not darkness. And they say after every darkness comes light. So for God to bring these resources together on our land, I'm sure God wasn't making a mistake, and the will of God would definitely be done. But if we as a generation decide to be nonchalant, there will be a generation after us that will be able to achieve this aim. So this is the main reason why we started Lead Generation, to develop a new generation of leaders. To first of all understand that leadership is not just focused at leadership, not just focused at governance. That leadership exists in every sphere of life. A lot of people today, you see them campaigning for this president or that, or mentioning this is the next president of Nigeria, without even being the kind of president that they want to be within the confine of their own area. Also, you have a lot of people, that are clamoring, they want this president, they want that president, but yeah, they don't even know who their House of Representative is going to be. You don't know who your House of Assembly is going to be. You don't know who your senator is going to be, or who your governor is going to be. And yes, you begin to think about what the next president. So we decided to give an opportunity, to the young ones to divert their creativity, to divert their attention, and also into building their immediate communities, which means making them leaders and problem solvers from their immediate community. This is one thing that we see that is very important for us to grow. And today, Lead Generation has gone around the country to train over 1,700 people directly. And those 1,700 people have trained over 100,000 people today, because we have adopted this train-the-trainer model, where we go to a particular state, identify like minds, break them into the local government spread, and give them necessary support for them to pass that training, to people in their various local governments by setting up their work structures. So today we have achieved that, but whether we like it or not, we must always be able to identify opportunities around us. The opportunity for us to rewrite the story of this country comes in 2023. And at that 2023, I as a person will be, by the grace of God, I as a person will be 47-year-old. So if I'm 47-year-old at 2023 and we have a president that's in power for 8 years, it means that I'll be 55. At 55, I don't see myself wrestling, to fight for the youth. You understand what I'm saying? To call myself a youth anyway. So whether I like it or not, I must be able to wake up, that is either we do it now or never for my generation. So I'm happy that we've done this, and I'm happy to see Lead Generation grow within a space of 2 years, to have presence in at least strong presence in 11 states, with at every local government in those states and in every ward in those states. And as we're drawing closer to our target date, we have, our short-term plan, and we have our long-term plan. Long-term plan is to achieve, in Nigeria, where you have people taking responsibilities, from within their immediate communities and building upward. But our short-term plan is to be able to make an effect in 2023. So at that one, for us to make that at 2023, I know that unity is something that we must first of all focus on, because without unity, you cannot achieve peace, and without peace, you cannot achieve progress. And in the course, of doing this, we will be collaborating with a brand called We Together. I noticed that part of what Lead Generation is doing, we're doing mobilization and we're training, and whether we like it or not, we should be able, to collaborate with other like minds that are doing the same. And on this note, this is the reason why we've been, in communication with the We Together team, an organization that is doing perfectly well, bringing like minds together and letting people know that together we can be able to fix our problem ourselves. So this is what we're doing. So very soon, I want you to watch this space when Lead Generation and We Together will be coming together as a brand, and to be able to achieve our aim, and most importantly for us as a young generation to come together, towards converting the opportunity that we have in 2023 to success. Every day that we talk, we have a meeting, it gives me that hope that we are going to get this done together. So, and one thing that I would like to just talk about now, we are talking about the importance of youth and technology. These are the most important factors for us to achieve success come 2023. And I'll talk about that. Youth is the work force of this country. We have over 75% of youth. And if truly elections are won by the majority, then the young people in Nigeria should be able to decide on who their leaders are going to be. Most importantly, we've identified a lot of resources that we have as a nation. We've identified that these resources will not turn itself to economical results, except we have great leadership. So, and for this reason, we must understand that the youth must take responsibility of building the kind of leaders, that they want from their immediate, communities. So the youth must see themselves that we should be able to decide, who our leaders are. And when we want to decide who our leaders are, what are we going to do differently? You don't argue with the present. You don't fight the present reality and thinking that you want to make a change. If you want to make a change, you have to be deliberate. If you want to make a change, you have to understand that you have to develop a new system that will make the old system obsolete. And how do you develop a new system as a young people? Technology. Between our various, our parents and ourselves, if your parent buy a new phone today, I'm sure an iPhone, he will call you that, hey, come and teach me how to do this phone. So already it shows that technology is giving you an advantage over your parents. You know what I'm saying? If you want to drive, I'm sure if you want to drive from Ibadan to Lagos now, you have your dad in the car and everything. He will sit on the passenger seat and he'll tell you, oh, you drive the car. So when it comes to governance, why do they want to now take charge of the driver's seat? These are simple things, and you cannot have technology and think that things are impossible. With technology, you should be able to use technology to drive possibilities. I see a lot of people that say in Nigeria that elections are not credible. Yes, but we have technology. We should be able to deploy technology because we have a country that has a structure that we use our technology right, nobody can rig an election. I am very, very confident that if the youth, they have what it takes, we have our PVCs, we are members of a political party, and we have a network to warehouse all our strengths as the youth, we can be able to use our numbers and technology to drive results. The country is divided into 6 geopolitical zones. We have the 6 geopolitical zones further broken down into 36 states and FCT. We have that further broken down into 774 local government, and we have that further broken down into 8,809 words. So we can use technology even from every unit to every word and create, a dashboard, to monitor, processes right from the unit, to the top level, even sitting with your phone and seeing everything. This is a possibility of things that can happen. So for me, I think the only impossibility is the Almighty God. And I believe that the youth has what it takes, to take this country forward come 2023. It is an opportunity. And the youth must understand the importance. They must understand the difference between an opportunity and entitlement. An entitlement is yours. Whether you like it or not, you're sleeping, they'll bring it to you. An opportunity can only turn itself to success if you are prepared. And that is why we believe that we should prepare. And this is why almost every day, the lead generation of myself and we together, we are meeting and seeing how we can be able to use our advantage, to success. And every day I get, more courage, I get more hope that this is going to work. But we must discuss some key important things that at least on this Zoom today, I think that will help us. One, the importance of having a PVC. You cannot just be talking on social media without having your PVC. You must understand that the electoral system in Nigeria can divide people into 2 parts. It's either you are a liability to the system or you are an asset to the system. I decided at the beginning of this year, on the 1st of January, I said it to myself because I did not have enough time to even do a lot of things. And I said to myself, I will only be discussing or give my attention to people that are instrumental to my dream. And this is why you are only instrumental to my dream if you have a PVC and you have a membership party of a political, you have a membership registration of a political party. Even from my house, I decided, to even engage my staff and tell the people that do not have all these things to excuse me. so that whoever I'm talking to, I only need to talk to one person in a day, and for the person to understand me, and the person to pass that to another person, and the person to pass that to another person, then we can create, that network that we need. So you must understand that you need your PVC, and having your PVC is not enough, because that PVC that you think that you have, and you are saying that you are not going to join a political party, that PVC is as useless as you using it to decide between an imbecile and a madman, because they will box you to a corner where that PVC will only be used to decide between two incompetent people, because the competent ones will not have the opportunity to scale through the political party system. Why? Because in Nigeria, we do not practice independent candidacy. So whether you like it or not, we must roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty, to clean this mess. And while you're going into the political party, that is the step 2. A lot of people will tell you today, oh, APC is bad, PDP is bad, I want a new party. My brother and sister, number one, there is no time for a new party. We are talking about 774 local government. And I will use my campaign, for example. I ran one of the most sophisticated campaigns in 2019. In 2018, I'll use a case study of an area called Ikere. Ikere has about 15 villages. When I visited Ikere, I got to Ikere around 4 p.m. in the evening, and I did not come out of that zone until about 12 noon the next day, moving from one village to another. One common statement that I heard from the people in that village is they have never in their life set eyes on a candidate before. So it's only the councillor that takes a poster to that place to tell you this is the person that you're going to work for. So my brothers and sisters, we start a new party. Ikere is just an area in one of my 11 wards. And I know that is not the only village that we have. We have other villages in other wards. So 8,809 wards times what happened in Ikere. How are you going to solve that problem? So whether we like it or not, we have to take the courage. We have to roll up our sleeves. And how do you do that? You must join a political party, one of the 2 major political parties. And if you want to join one of the 2 major political parties, today as a person, if you are not a member of a party, fine. But if you're a member of PDP, yeah, you can stay there and have a network that connects to the ideology of the youth. But for me, because my loyalty today is for the youth, as I am, because I believe that this is the only way that we can get Nigeria on the right trajectory. And I don't believe that we cannot even work with the older generations. There's some other generation that share the same ideology with us. So, but for somebody that just wants to join a political party today, be smart with your decision. Fingers are not equal. When we were in school, if you want to run the 800 meters track race, you try to be in lane 1. Why? You want to be in lane 1 because it is the lane advantage. So today, if you want to join a political party, the party that is at advantage is the party that is in power. So, but if you are joining that party, try as much as possible to join a network in that party by connecting your arm into another person, so you don't stand by yourself. Let that person connect to another person, let that person connect to another person. By so doing, you see that we will create that base that we want as having our strength within a party. And when you speak, then you'll know that the youth organ of that political party is speaking. So as it is, there's so much opportunity for us. We have a clear opportunity that in 2023 we can get the country in the right trajectory, but it is not going to happen by talk. It has to be by action. So I say congratulations to the lead generation team, the executive director, who happens to be my wife. Thank you for doing a lot of jobs. Stanley, national secretary, and Kelechi, and everybody that we've been doing this together. I thank you so much. And very soon I want everybody to stay tuned to the unveiling of the collaboration with We Together. You guys, you can go on your own, check We Together. I'm very sure that I know, decision making is very key in life. And we must understand that before we achieve anything in life, sacrifice. There's nothing good that does not come with a sacrifice. Yoruba says, so it means that in life, you must be able to sacrifice something. As it is in Bible, Abraham, in Quran, Anabi Ibrahim, alayhi he was ready to sacrifice his own son to God. How many of us can sacrifice our phone, even in this matter? So thank you very much. I congratulate my team. I congratulate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We just heard from the founder, Lead Generation Initiative, Honorable Shina Pella. Our next guest will be giving us a brief remark and He happens to be an ICT strategist and business development executive with practical expertise in the design and delivery of high performance information and business processes improvement solution to address complex business problems. Our next guest is a graduate of geography from Bayero University, Kano, and currently the managing director, chief executive officer of LGI Limited. He specializes in social networking, geographic information system, crowdfunding, and financial inclusion. Welcoming to make his remarks, MD, CEO, LGI Limited, convener, We Together Nigeria, Ibrahim Hussein Abdulkarim. You have the floor, sir. Mr. Ibrahim Hussein Abdulkarim, convener, We Together, you have the floor.
Sorry, Mayor. Thank you very much for that. Thanks for the introduction. I think he's having some connection problem. I've just been in touch with him. He's still trying to connect to us. So I think if you hold on a second, he's going to come on shortly. If we can just have a brief interlude and just give him 2 minutes to resolve it. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. And thank you for my beautiful introduction as well.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
If you can hear me now, I think I've been muted. I was trying just to get the host to unmute me. Good morning, all.
Good morning, Mr. Abdulkarim. We can hear you now. Thank you for joining us.
My name is Ibrahim Hussein Abdulkarim, and so happy to be here this morning. We had a very good discussion for a few months with Honorable Shino Pillars. We've been trying to see how far we can collaborate together and see what we can do. We Together is just as you heard the name, We Together. We just want to bring Nigerians together. A lot of people are thinking that this is something that the youth cannot do. They can't work together. They can't even see eye to eye or anything. But what we intend to do is to prove them wrong, to tell them that we can come together and we can do things for ourselves. That's the slogan of the movement. And we have put up a very good strategy, and have just dropped the website. I think people can go and just check exactly what we're trying to do. More importantly is that the topic too is apt, youth and technology. There is nothing that can change this country unless we use what God has given to us. And what is that thing that God has given to us? This technology that we have. In years during the ANC in South Africa, during the Martin Luther King movement and other things, that they have to have a physical meeting, whether they are going to do it under a tree, whether they are going to do it in somebody's house, whether they are going to do it in prison, they need something. But today, I can see Mrs. Shinapila just sitting down in her comfort, this thing with her makeup and everything, no sweat, no anything, but we're organizing people. This is technology. This is God-given. And almost 100 or 200 of us now, everybody from his own location, we are all communicating, some in UK, some in Nigeria, some in any other places. This is the best thing that ever happened to any generation. And with Google and anything that we can search and think and talk about. For example, if I'm talking about We Together, you can go to our website, you can see you can join and you can do whatever. You can see our even past videos and things like that. This is the best thing the internet is bringing to us. But we're always online, just watching films, just online, just doing our whatever we want to do. We're just online, just trying to just click our data away. But we are not using it to utilize it. Say, this is why we are. We need to work for our own country. We need to work and keep this country together. We have to do something. Nobody will do it for us. Then we have all the resources. We need the leadership. Mr. Shinapile is here giving the leadership. Some people are in other groups giving the leadership. That's the idea. Then how are we going to come together, all of us? Remove this barrier of ethnicity, remove this barrier of religion. Let's just focus on development. And more importantly, remove hate. We have to bring justice. You can't bring anything meaningful to a society when there is too much injustice in it. And we have to create equality, and we have to bring competent people into the system. How can we do that? We have to come together. And we together yesterday during our General Assembly, we agreed that we are going to generate a platform where we are going to create 955 formula. That's 9 people on the national level, which will agree to bring 55 people, which will make it 45 people. Immediately we have 45 people, we're breaking down into zonal level. Each zone, we have 9 people. Those 9 people, what they will just do for us is to bring 55 people. If there's more, the merrier. So we can be up to 100 or 200 in that platform, but we just need the 45 number threshold. Immediately we get the 45 number threshold, we break into states. We do the same thing in the state, we do the same thing at the local government. At the moment we reach the local government, with this 955, we are already 34,000. With 34,000, once we break into wards, we are going to be 2.8 million. With 2.8 million people, you are already stronger than any party you can think of. You already have a structure better than all the party structures you can think of in this country. And that's what we are actually, if you say you're going to PDP, what you say they have a structure, or you're going to APC, they have a structure. If we break down this 955 system between now and next 2 weeks, we'll have structure better than all the parties in the country. That's what technology is giving us. This is what the youth can do. And then if we can do even a show of force for 3 days, those 2 million people to bring 55 people, or to bring even 1 or 2 people additional to me, we're already 4 million. Then if you can come out in every state to do show of force for the youth for 3 days, 3 hours every day, then everybody will see what we are trying to do. And in the process of what we intend to do is that even if we are going to nominate anybody or we are going to support anybody, we have to have a mechanism to show him exactly what do we have. Then from the 45 people we have in the ward level, they will help us itemize what are the needs of those guys at that ward level. So you put them together. Ward A plus Ward B plus Ward C is going to be just tallied on the system and show us the priority of the problem. What is the first problem? The first problem is drugs abuse, lack of education, lack of potable water. Then it will be. So once we have a platform where somebody say, I'm vying for the aspiration to lead in so constituency, once you put it, what will happen? The first thing will happen is that you will see the need for that constituency. So it's not the contestant to come and tell us what he wants to do for us. It's for the contestant to come and collect what we want him to do for us. Those 45 people at the world level should still help us to monitor in the next 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. How are we going to make sure that we checkmate him to make sure that he does all the things he has promised us that he wants to do, so that we'll deny him the ticket if he said that he wants to go back and he refused to do whatever he wants to do for the constituency. So this is what internet can do for us. We can help somebody to go, and we can help him to perform his duty, and it can help us to assist to monitor the exactly what we are. And only internet that can and can help us to even manage ourselves, to manage our aspiration as people, and also to make sure that at least, but the core value in We Together is that we understand that the value of human life in Nigeria is very, very low. And that's what it will help us to raise the standard that we want to raise in Nigeria. We have to value human beings, irrespective of which part of this country that person comes from, and from which religion that person belongs to. Nigeria has to work for everybody, not to work just for a few people. I think this is what we stand for, and we realize that it's something that the same thing the lead generation is doing, and they have all the structure and the ground for them to do. So with these two movements coming together very soon, then we realize that we are going to build something bigger than all of us, something that our children will be very proud of us, and also something that even the country and also other people from diaspora will really say this is exactly what we want to do. So we have to differentiate and also understand the ideology for us to be in seat of power. Don't just aspire to be a leader unless you pass through this kind of leadership we have seen in lead generation. Try to now put that country first before thinking of how you are going to do for yourself, how you are going to make sure that at least you have those values and competence, integrity, empathy, and everything that you can bring together for you to make sure that at least you are doing well for the system, and you are going to be very proud of yourself, even if you finish, not just to amass money because you just want to be what you want to be. I think I will stop here, and I will pray that this merger and the movement will come up soon, at least so that at least all of us will have our roll up our sleeve and have our hands dirty to make sure that at least every other thing that we can think of, from pulling it, word to word, house to house, to our friends, to make sure that at least we take back our country. This is the word I'm just trying to lift to people. Let's take back our country. Some countries are worse than Nigeria, but some people work their hands and push their energy and change the narratives. So please let us believe that it's something that is very doable if all of us come together. We together, let's do it ourselves.
I must really thank you. That was a great one from the We Together coordinator. Thank you so much. It is time for us to go into the real menu of today's conversation. We'll be having the real conversation now on elections and youth involvement. The speakers are already lined, and the first speaker today that will help us make sense of this particular topic happens to be the executive director of Yaga Africa, a community of change makers focused on building sustainable democracies in Africa, anchored on the principle of inclusion, justice, accountability, and constitutionalism. He actually played a leading role in implementing the organization's mission and objectives, which entail strategic planning, policy, research and analysis, grant seeking, and stakeholder engagements. Our next speaker actually has 12 years of experience and expertise in election management, legal research and analysis, parliamentary strengthening, construction building, and social movements. presenting our first speaker as far as conversation on election and youth involvement is concerned, welcoming Samson Itodo. Executive Director, YAG Africa, Samson Itodo, you have the floor.
I don't know if he's on the call. I'm not sure he's on the call, so I'll hand over to Stanley, National Secretary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Isaac Brown. I would just take the Executive Director of Electa. So I would hand over back to you, Mr. Brown, so that you take it up from here. But we just want to take the Executive Director of Electa while we wait for the Executive Director of YAG Africa to resolve his technical challenges we're having with him. Thank you very much.
Well, if I'm able to hear you correctly, we're taking Executive Director of
Electa.
Electa, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, our next guest, Ibijoke Faborode, co-founder, executive director of Elect, a non-partisan Pan-African political organization where she drives the vision to bridge inequality, gaps in Africa, democracy, by engaging critical stakeholders, encouraging women to decide, equipping them to run, and enabling them to win elections. Oh, wow. I think we need to see you in your state. We have fewer women elected at the national level. We need you here. In a bid to strengthen women's representation in Nigeria, the organization recently launched a $10 million fund to empower 1,000 women and directly fund 35 women in 2023 elections. She has worked in the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office, leading to policy, trade, and investment relations across West Africa, and with Paris-based Pan-African publications, the Africa Report, where she led on communication campaigns for government and some of the biggest brands in Africa. I personally would like to hear from you. Let's welcome the co-founder, executive director, Electa, Ibijoke Faborode.
Good morning. Can you hear me now? Great. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and welcome everyone. I want to say a very big well done to Lead Generation for this important summit. I think it's very timely, and must commend the articulation of Honorable Shina Pella. It is very inspiring to know that we have leaders who are very people-centric and are truly thinking about the people, because as a nation, we need to question where we are right now. But, you know, we're quick to point the fingers at the government every time. But the truth is that as the people, what are we doing to truly make the difference? Are we organizing? Are we coordinating? Are we holding ourselves accountable? How involved are we, you know, in also shaping our democracy as well? So this is a very timely conversation. I congratulate Lead Generation under the leadership of Madam Ayobola Pella. Well done, and thank you for your leadership. This is very good. I'm also really excited that we have over 100 people, and I'm hoping that this conversation will go on after here, because I think people are tired of just talking and talking and talking. And I think the way we can shape is to ensure that, everyone on this conversation actually takes a point or two, tweet about it, engage someone in something you take from this today, and ensure that you're not just keeping quiet after this conversation. I also want to commend Ibrahim Abdul Karim. I mean, I engaged you during the early days of Elector, and I know the role you played in the 2015 election. So you're definitely someone that can speak confidently about civic tech. And I'm very excited to hear that you're collaborating with Lead Generation. And the model of organization that you actually just broke down right now is a very profound one. And I think that, if we can actually get ourselves, that would be that would be a disruption in 2023. And I say that because, technology is such a very fundamental tool in the future of elections, in the future of democracy in Africa, in the sustainability of democracy in Africa. It helps with spaceless collaborations. And it made mention that we're all across different locations right now, but we're able to engage and collaborate. And I think that in itself is something that I think we haven't come to really realize and break down effectively. And I say that because technology can be as rural as possible, because people think that when we talk about technology, it is high level. Internet penetration in Nigeria, is quite decent. I think, last time I checked, we have about over 100 million internet subscribers in Nigeria. I mean, according to the Nigerian Communications Commission, so I'll use the official data, which means that people are active, people are engaging, even at the rural level. So with agriculture, what you also find, for example, was that when a lot of the aggregators or players in the space wanted to reach the rural people, they used technology to reach out to them. So you want to know when rain is going to fall, you want to know when harvest season, just with USSD codes. So in elections, why can't we do that? To remind people, why can't candidates, for example, deploy that to reach their constituents in local languages? So it can be as rural as possible. We don't even have to talk about, high tech or sophisticated tech. I feel like there's tech that can work for every strata of society, from the youth, to the people at the rural level, to the people, that are more educated and more. But to talk about, preparing for credible elections in Nigeria, the role of youth and women. So when we posted this on our social media page, someone immediately said, "Oh, you shouldn't honor this invitation because for such an organization, you're the only woman." I wanted to respond. I said, no. So I think with our generation, we have to channel our anger. We have to channel an anger, and I will break that down. The reason I say that is, for me, is first of all, is the way I interpret this. Yes, so we can encourage. As the only woman, I would have loved to see more women, but would I refuse such a platform? No, because then I am depriving myself the opportunity to speak and advocate. I'm depriving myself the opportunity to represent as a voice, right? One woman is better than no woman. That is the way I interpret it. So, I mean, I want to encourage the youth that we need to find the balance between idealism and the reality, the dynamism of the political climate we found ourselves, that is shaped by culture, tradition, and patriarchy. And we must find the balance between that. The NSAS campaign, is, or was, I will still say, because I think it's still a movement, is one of the most powerful movements of our time. But as the youth, we made a mistake. And Honorable Shinapela said something: you can't keep fighting government. You have to get in to fix it. You must know when to step back and negotiate. You must know when to step back and make your demands. You cannot fight blindly, right? So while we're doing all this, it is important for us to work with government. It is important for us to get ourselves in the system, because that is the only way we can hold government accountable. We cannot keep advocating blindly without having access to data, without having access to information, without having access to what is happening, in the political parties, without having access to some of these conversations that are deeper than we understand. We cannot keep being outsiders to our democracy. We cannot keep being outsiders to our electoral environment is defined, or our elections are carried out, essentially. Because for us to actually be active and for us to participate effectively, we need to get into the system. And that's why, even so, personally, amongst my friends, I tell them, you don't like politics, but do you realize that you can't separate politics from the economy? You can't separate democracy from the economy. And so for me, it's even the private sector. The private sector needs to do more. In the United States of America, so I understudy American politics a lot. And the reason is because America has been able to use tech, for example, to mobilize millions of people. They've been able to use civic tech, for example, to engage, to ensure that they hold government accountable. But beyond that, the private sector constantly hold government accountable. They are involved in political decision making, because you have to understand something. Especially at the parliament, that is where the policies that shape the economy is defined. That is where key decisions are made. And so if, as the private sector, for example, there's a high level of apathy, then how exactly can we ensure that we even understand the discussions that are going on in the parliament? We can hold our lawmakers accountable. There are conversations around the electoral amendments, constitutional amendments, the gender and equal opportunity bill, the reserve quota bill, but a lot of people don't even know about this, right? So what exactly are we doing? How are we coordinating ourselves? And I think it's quite hypocritical, especially for the youth, that every electoral cycle, we then come some months during the election and we start demanding. You haven't earned the right to hold government accountable or to demand when you've not been actively involved. The moment an election is concluded, advocacy starts. It doesn't stop there. So you don't wait, because the vicious leaders that we're against are not waiting. They're actually smarter than we think. They're just channeling their intelligence in other directions to rid the country of its economic, good. And so is that if people are constantly scheming, they're constantly deciding how to rid the country, and you're waiting for 3 years to hold them accountable or to ask, they are 100 steps ahead of you. So I think as youths, we need to coordinate ourselves better. As women, we need to be involved. Last election, we had a higher percentage of women as voters. And I think a fundamental question for me is, where were the women? So is it that women do not vote women? Is it a function of cultural and religious stereotypes? Is it that the women are not coming out? There's so many questions, that we need to answer genuinely. Because, for example, women play such an instrumental role when it comes to shaping credible elections in Nigeria. I'm currently in Abuja, and I spoke during the APC National Women Conference. And one thought-provoking question I'd asked, because when I looked at the room, less than 3% of the population in attendance were the youth. And I think my question to them was, I hear you. You've been talking about intergenerational approach. You've been talking about transfer of knowledge. You've been talking about involving the young people. But where are the young people in this conference? People keep talking to themselves. But the question is, how are we bringing the younger people into these discussions? I would have also loved for us to have some of the older people on this conversation, because there's a problem when we have such a conversation and the conversation is just amongst ourselves. When we want to disrupt, we need to ensure that the people that need to hear these conversations are brought to the table. Otherwise, we are going to make the same mistake that we're trying to avoid, which is the older generation of politicians created a closed table amongst themselves. The decisions are made there. The youths were left out on the decision-making table. The youths some of the youths that are involved in politics had to fight to get there. However, we cannot have this sort of collaboration and engagement or mobilization without ensuring that we have an intergenerational approach. So I think it's always important to consider an intergenerational approach, to consider a gender lens when we have discussions like this, to ensure that whatever conversations we're having, presents a certain level of equity. And I think it's very instrumental, because today we have people from different locations, and that means that we are able to penetrate, we're able to engage beyond, just the physical conversations that we would have. And so I think it's very important for us to understand the role that this plays. Now we're going into 2023, and it is one of the most anticipated elections, since in modern times. And the international community is watching, people are watching. There's this growing social agitation amongst the youth, amongst the women, amongst everyone. I think NSAS was a defining and a turning period for Nigerians, because despite the fact that we didn't have the level of outcomes that we wanted to have, one fundamental thing we should take away was we organized. We organized, we mobilized. There was spaceless collaboration. The diaspora engaged successfully. 80% of the donations that came in was from the diaspora community. Alternative financing through cryptocurrency, through direct financial donations, all those things played out. And I think that presented a model that we should also carry on into the 2023 general elections when it comes to mobilizing, when it comes to resource mobilization. Now, people say, oh, you young people, what do you know about politics? Elections are not won on social media. Yes, elections are not won on social media. However, what social media does is social media allows for such wide range of conversations, of engagement, of interactions, and also a great sense of resource mobilization. During the NSAS campaign, information was flowing. And so because of that, there was a level of apathy, especially with people in the diaspora community. There was an itch in them, and most of them were like, okay, I have to do something. And right there, they knew that what they could do was to send resources into the country so that could be, the protest could be sustained. And so for me as young people how do we ensure that we can harness this, for example, to mobilize resources for credible elections, to mobilize resources for campaign financing for both women and men. But also what technology can do is that the flow of information is so profound that it presents track record. Because when conversations are ongoing, and that's why you see some governments across the world will do anything and everything to limit the reach and the influence of new media, because they understand that you cannot chain people that understand how to deploy technology for information dissemination, because those things per second, in fact, per minute second, the way information travels is so deep. And so during elections, if everyone sees themselves as an observer, if you're constantly tweeting about what's going on in your locality, if you're asking questions, if someone is trying to, steal your vote, if an official, is not responding the way they're supposed to respond, just keep the conversation going. And the truth is that because it is already in the digital space, you already have a track record. We can't just keep talking amongst ourselves. We need to ensure that we are so coordinated in the way we are passing information during the 2023 election. So as an organization, the question is, what are we doing differently? It's not just about talking. So let me just give you a bit of background about what we're doing. So I am the founder and the CEO of an organization called Elect Her. And as the name definitely implies, it is to elect women. And the reason why we're doing this is simply because, you know, in a population of over 200 million people, over half of this population are women. But when it comes to tying wrapper, voting, you know, women are exploited. But when it comes to actually getting women in power, we don't have the women. For example, across the National Assembly, you know, across the National Assembly at the moment, we have less than 4.1% women representation, which means at the very epicenter of decision making, excuse me, you don't have balanced perspective, which is why you see that our social sectors are suffering, which is why you see that social political advancements in Nigeria is going through retrogression. And so we need to understand why it is so fundamental to commit to equity, why everyone should be involved in politics, why everyone should be involved in critical decision making, why everyone, you know, should be part of the institutions that actually regulates elections, that actually make critical decisions, you know, when it comes to politicking, building democracy and good governance. And so that is why as an organization it is so important to get women. And it's not because we're sentimental, but in a nation where you have men and women making decisions, you see a balanced perspective in decision making. In Rwanda, for example, you know, they have the highest number of female representation across parliament, and that has greatly impacted on their economy. So as people, we need to understand that this is beyond sentiment. This is for economic survival. This is to ensure that we have free and fair elections. When you have only a section of the population controlling decision making, you are giving into myopia. People cannot reason effectively. People cannot be accountable. And so it is important that every strata of society brings themselves into decision making. 2023 has to be different. And I'm very excited about, you know, what just let me know when I need to stop, please. I'm very excited about what, you know, We Together is doing with, and what we're doing with lead generation in terms of mobilizing people. I love that model. I think it will be very disruptive. As an organization as well, you know, two of the things that we definitely are prioritizing as we're going to the election season is technology and financing. As Mr. Isaac mentioned, you know, last year we launched a $10 million fund. It is not easy to raise money, I must say, because in the space as well, donors will give you money to do programs, but donors will rarely give you money to finance elections because, you know, they are non-partisan, they're party agnostic. And one of the bold conversations that we've been having with them is, look, you have to understand how dynamic the Nigerian democracy is. You also have to understand the peculiarity of the problems that we have. We've been having almost the same results with the same approach to development in the country, the same approach to how funding or how grant making is done in the country, which means there's a fundamental problem. So women, for example, are excluded from decision making. Women cannot run competitively also because there is that fundamental issue with financing. And so I think it is important for everyone to understand the role that they play. We also can have credible elections if people are economically disadvantaged, because there's something you call the stomach infrastructure as well. So people weaponize poverty in Nigeria, which means we have to think about, you know, how we actually, our approach to engaging the population that will be voting by ensuring that they're also economically empowered as well. Because if someone is in survival mode, you know, he's just focused on now and not on later. So we also need to be realistic when it comes to the kind of solutions that we're preferring. So as an organization, outside the funds that we're definitely raising, there's a lot that we're doing and focusing on when it comes to private sector engagement, because we believe that it is only the private sector that can give us the level of support financially that we need. Also, the diaspora community plays such an instrumental role in also providing capital, either for strengthening our electoral system, either for ensuring that candidates can also get some level of resources that they need as well. Secondly, technology, civic tech is so important. So as an organization, as we're going into election, I mean, we look at politicking from a gender lens. And so most of the solutions that we are preferring are looking at women. Going into election, we're currently working on our app, our official app, and some of the key features that we're working on going into election will include an election and campaign management platform for women, the app and the web platform. And the reason we are doing that is we need critical and niche data for women. Women should be able to politic in a very structured way as well. To allow for credible elections, you need data, you need proof, right? When you go for litigation, you need proof. And so for us is, we need to ensure that we're also not just empowering women with money, we're empowering them with how to use and deploy technology. So through the election and campaign management software that we're working on, for example, is so that, because the candidates, someone on the team can plug in, virtually, to ensure that they are just inputting data, they're inputting what is happening on the field, you're aggregating data, and people cannot cheat you when you have proof, when you have data. Also, observers, reporters will be able to plug into this. The citizens will also be able to engage. Another thing we'll be doing is mobilizing a messaging tool for the candidates that we're supporting, and to ensure that they're able to engage their constituents by sending reminders, by sending notifications in their local languages. So ensuring that we can deploy technology, as relatable as possible. But like Ibrahim said, what we can do differently as a generation is, and I think it was Honorable Shina, is being able to deploy technology, because this is the only way that we cannot be cheated. And I think it's important for us to understand the role that tech plays in this. First of all, with tech, we can organize, we can mobilize, we can sensitize, we can engage. We can also hold our leaders accountable, because if we all see ourselves as agents of change, we're tweeting, we're passing information, someone is saying, the observers on the field are deploying technology. There's real-time information that people are sharing. And I say that for me is NSAS presented such a useful model. There was so much information that became undeniable because people were the agents of change. People were not waiting for the media. People were the media. People understood that they are the most important and the critical players when it comes to democracy. And so for a population we have such an opportunity, we have the privilege, we have the platform, we have technology to deploy. And it's important that in 2023, we harness this very effectively to ensure that we can push for more credible elections. Look, it is going to be a highly contested election. Power is not given, it is taken. Nobody really wants to just hand over power, which means we have to beat them at their own game, which means, so how can we do that? We cannot match the financial powers. What we can deploy is technology. So, I'm going to leave us with, as a wrap up, what I would just say is, let us keep the conversation going. Don't let us just leave it to just the conversation we're having right now. Let us ensure that within our immediate environment, we're also encouraging people, for example, to get the PVCs. The online continuous voter registration process is still going on. So like I said, you don't have, you have lost the privilege to complain or to demand for a better democracy if you are not going to vote. So it is important that you hold everybody around you accountable to ensure that everybody registers and everybody comes out in the 2023 elections to vote. Don't let anybody fool you that your vote does not count. Our democracy is not perfect. It is going through an evolution. But the more we come out, the more we're socially aware, the more we hold ourselves accountable, the more we are involved, the more we can ask, the more we can demand, the more we can draw attention and curiosity, the more we can mobilize, and the more we can definitely push for credible elections in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was a great one from the co-founder, executive director, elect a non-partisan Pan-African political organization. Thank you so much, Ibijoke Faborodi. Some of the issues you actually raised, I must also say that talking about marginalization of women, you don't need to go far. Here in Oyo State, we have 3 senators, 14 federal House of Rep member. Incidentally, the founder of Lead Generation Initiative, Honorable Shinopela, is also one of them. You won't believe that of all the 3 senators that we have here, they're all men. 14 House of Rep members, only 1 woman. And the State House of Assembly, 32 strong member, only 1 woman in your state. So I'm on the same page with you. Great one to ensure that we get very good representation as far as Nigerian women are concerned. I've been told that we cannot have the executive director of Yaga Africa. We couldn't connect him earlier. Samson Itodo, you have the floor, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ibrahim Farouk, and I'm going to be representing Samson, who is the executive director of Yaga Africa and who is unavoidably absent. But I work at Yaga Africa as a program manager on governance and development issues. And it's a pleasure to speak on behalf of Samson Itodo, like I said, who is unavoidably absent. He had tried to join earlier, he had tried to connect earlier so he can speak. But let me just begin by saying congratulations to Lead Generation Initiative for 2 years of amazing work, of reaching over 10,000 young people across different states in Nigeria, along leadership training, training on organizing, training on civic and political participation, which is very important for us as we are on the march to the 2023 general elections. And I think that it goes without saying that the 2023 elections is going to be an election that is defined by the youth votes. But I say this with a lot of caution, because the 2023 election is not going to be an election for young people. If young people do not turn out in our numbers, first of all, to register as part of the ongoing continuous voter registration process, I can see that there are over 100 people so far as part of this anniversary celebration. And if each person can ensure that 10 other people, 20 other people, 30 other people, 40, 50 other people registered to vote. And not just registered to vote, register to vote, collect your permanent voter's card, join a political party. That is when we can confidently say that this is 2023 is going to be the year for young people. I was listening to our moderator talk about what is happening in Oyo State, and I'm very proud to say that Oyo State is one of the states that is leading when it comes to the area of youth representation. And if you look at the Oyo State House of Assembly, for instance, there are so many young men, many of them beneficiaries of the Not Too Young to Run legislation, meaning that they were members of the State House of Assembly before they turned 30 years of age. And they took advantage of a constitutional amendment that was led by Yaga Africa and partners and signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari in May 2018 that allowed for younger people. But because these young people were members of political parties, they had spent time learning within the political parties on how to participate effectively. They currently represent their constituencies in the State House of Assembly. But beyond just Oyo State, we need to cascade this across the country. And when we look at the role of young people, we find out that Nigeria's history, and for students of history, you'd see that Nigeria's history has been a history of youth struggle. It has been a history of youth participation. Right from the pre-colonial era, we have had young people. It was young men and women that led the struggle for Nigeria's independence. It was young men and women that from the First Republic were responsible for how this nation was birthed and for the developmental strides that we have seen so far as a country. I do not understand why we're in 2022 and heading towards 2023, when we have very powerful tools that technology and social media provide us with, and young people are the greatest users and greatest consumers of technology and technological tools such as social media. We must ensure that we marry that energy, we channel that energy that we have on social media and bring it into the political space. It is not enough that when it comes to entertainment or when it comes to sports or when it comes to fashion or when it comes to technology and things like fintech, we can see that young Nigerians are blazing the trail, not just in Nigeria, but across the world. But when it comes to politics, our participation is abysmally low. I was in a meeting earlier this morning, and someone mentioned that across the world, the average voter turnout for elections is 66%. So across the world, 66% is the average for voter turnout. Just last year in Gambia, there was an election for the new president who was inaugurated a few days ago. Voter turnout was about 80-something%. However, in the last presidential elections that we had, in 2019 election, voter turnout was 34%. So just 34% out of 84 million registered voters turned out. And if you're good at mathematics, I'm sure you know that that is less than 30 million. I know that we have more than 30 million able young men and women across the country who can come out and make a difference. We have technology, on the other hand, that allows us to find where are these young people, what is the last mile? Do we need to use text messages? Do we need to use WhatsApp? Do we even need to go back and say we need to use 2Go? Or what are all those social media platforms that we use on Facebook and on Twitter, on Snapchat and on TikTok to mobilize for participation of young people? And I'm glad that a Lead Generation initiative, we can see a lot of work that is being done both online and offline, and leveraging both of these platforms to ensure that as we march towards 2023, young men and young women are going to be front and center of the conversations that we're having about the elections. And elections are very important for us, and we're very passionate about elections in this country because what happens within the political space, within our political process, affects every other aspect of our life. It affects the economy, it affects the price of food, it affects the price of fuel, it affects the price of education. And so it is almost criminal for us not to be deeply interested in what happens in our political process. And I mentioned earlier about joining political parties, because it is within the political parties that the candidate selection takes place. That's the first step in determining who is on the ballot. And then the second step, which is around voter registration and collection of permanent voters card, and coming out on election day to actually exercise your civic duty and the power that you have in your thumb to determine who leads you for the next 4 years, either in an executive or a legislative position. As I just start to wrap up, my charge, my admonition to everyone listening is that we cannot afford not to be interested. We must take a very deep interest. We must be committed. It must become what you read every day. Every day you should spread this message around. You must participate. Reach out to your brother or your sister or your uncle, anywhere. Every day that you're on your phone, on one social media app or another, use that as an opportunity to spread the message. And let us ensure that as we move towards 2023, we know that the role of young people and the role of technology is definitely going to be very important. And we cannot sit down and fold our arms. We must get involved and we must take action. Thank you very much. God bless you, and congrats to LGI.
Thank you so much. The representative of Mr. Todo. Up next, we'll be having another gentleman. Our next guest, incidentally, is the head of regional support and network assurance for Airtel. Member and of course fellow Nigerian Society of Engineers. It's time to have Engineer Kazim Suleiman. He will be speaking with us next. While we see he's already sharing some information on the screen, I must also tell you that he is also a mobile telecommunication expert and is into operation management with over 20 years real and business acumen. And I'm sure that we'll be able to take us through what we've been talking about, those gadgets, what technology can bring to bear as far as this conversation on election and youth involvement is concerned. You have the floor, Engineer Kazim Suleiman.
I think he needs to unmute.
Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to put this in a presentation mode. I don't know what's why this is.
I hear you, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you,
Yes,
sir.
we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, if you can hear me, go to slideshow and click on start presentation.
Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to put this in a presentation mode. I don't know what's there.
From the beginning, click on from the beginning. From beginning, yeah.
Already drawing. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be here this afternoon, and I'll start by thanking the initiative of this program, Honorable Shina Pella, who happens to be from my alma mater, and also Ibrahim from Kaduna, who has also been my neighbor for a very long time. So I can say automatically I am into this process and I'm completely part of this initiative going forward. So the topic to discuss this afternoon is engaging for credible election, the role of youth and technology. So to start with, the slide is not moving. I don't know why.
It's moving now.
Okay, it's moving now. So when we talk of technology, as we've been discussing since, the platform that all these devices work on is telecommunication infrastructure, which has to do with time of the coverage, the access, and quality network, where all the devices that we use for election run. So as of today, this platform is fully matured in Nigeria. So there is no limitation for us to deploy technology anywhere across the country. And we can look at the density according to NCC, meaning that if we put 100 people in Nigeria, all the 100 people have a phone. In fact, some of them have more than one phone. And also look at the internet penetration, you will see that we have more than 105 million people that has access to internet in Nigeria, according to NCC, as at this January. So we don't have any limitation as regards the technology access to be able to manage election effectively in Nigeria. So, and for any election to be, for any nation to develop, it requires quality leadership. And to achieve this, suitable people must be put in position, and credible election is the only route where you can put credible people into the position. Nigeria has had 23 years of uninterrupted democracy since 1999. You can see how fast it is, and the longest in our history. This is the longest in our history. So election into political offices has been done at different levels. You know, we have done for federal, for state, for local government during this period. And more importantly, Nigeria has been able to transfer power from a sitting president to an opposition, which has happened for the first time in 2015 through technology. So I want to tell you categorically today that no technology, no credible election. I want to repeat myself because this slide is not moving. No technology, no election. Why do I say that? I've participated in 2 elections in my lifetime, which I want to give as an example today. One in 1993, which is the election of Chief M.K. Abiola, which people always say that is the most credible election in Nigeria, and another one in 2015, the election of that where we elected President Muhammadu Buhari. In 1999, there was no technology. What we did was, when you go to voting place, they will put an ink at the back of your hand, a finger, that mark that you have voted. I can tell you categorically that most people voted more than 2, 3, 4 times, because once you put that, you get that ink at the back of your hand, you go back home, you go and wash it and come back. There's no means of identification, no technology at all, no Twitter, no Facebook, nothing for you to be able to track what is going on. So once you are popular in that area, you are free to rig and do whatever you want to do. So that was the situation then. But now, a lot of, in 2015, Professor Adaru Gega introduced technology into our election. And that was why, for the first time, we have seen an incumbent being defeated in an election, because it is difficult for you to reach. You have to be identified, not by ink again, which we were doing then. Now you have to put your fingers print, and you have to be identified by that fingerprint to be able to be sure that the right person is the person that is voting. I don't know why my slide is hanging. Maybe I will drop it. I will reattach it again. Sorry for the flow.
Okay, so if you want to move your slide, use your arrow buttons.
Okay, I've been doing that. I don't know why it's not moving. Still not moving. Okay, so like I said before, no technology, no election, because those elections that we said are credible when there was no technology, truly they were not credible. Because when you look at it, you cannot argue it in court. You cannot say, okay, how many people have voted? You cannot even know what has happened in those locations. So in 2015, when we started the introduction of card reader, we've been able to, change the system. And INEC has continued to improve since that time. Recently, they have introduced a bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, which is a combination of smart card readers and ZPAD. And with this, you can even do real-time viewing. And this is also an improvement on what we had on card reader, because before, during the card reader era in 2015, you still have to use incident form. And with that incident form, politicians will continue to fill so many incident forms for people that did not exist, and they will count it. But now, the filling of incident form has been eradicated. And recently, a new proposal has been sent to the president, though it has not been signed. But once it's signed, all these things will fall into place, and we'll have a better and more credible election going forward. Voter registration can also be done online now. Unlike before, we could not do this. So as youth, we should take advantage of this issue. The issue related to your PVC can also be resolved online. So you don't have any excuse to say, I have to go somewhere, I don't have time. You can do so many things online now with the use of technology. Then party primary too. You can remember the recent election in Alhambra, where one of the candidates of APC have more votes in the primary than the general election. How can that be possible? Just because we cannot account for the number. Now they are moving towards getting digital card to be a member of a political party. With that, all kind of issues that happens will be removed. Then also, it's also enable prosecution in the court, because you can provide verifiable evidences, unlike before that you can snap a ballot card and there's no evidence for you to prove what has happened. It has started again. So so what are the role of the youth going forward? So all political parties are dominated by youths. However, youth have not been utilizing their numbers to influence the outcome of the election positively. And these are some of the challenges that we have had in our elections. Their choices have always been influenced by money and other material gains. So when we talk of bad leaders, we must take responsibility as youth, because we elected these bad leaders. So as leaders, we must take as youth, we must take responsibility once we have bad leader, because we are the one that actually elected them. Sorry, let me try and see if it actually works now. Okay, so as youth, what's our role? Our role, like I said before, the role, the range of youth according to Nigerian Constitution is between 18 to 35. So most of us on this platform, we're actually youth, and some of the challenges that we have faced is that our choices have always been influenced by money and material things. So now 2023 is coming. You must shun such tendencies to demand for money and material things. We must take responsibility as youth to be able to change this scenario. And that is why all of us are here. We need to make sure that we change the narration. Like all other speakers have also always said, we still have a long time to live on this earth. So we need to take that responsibility and don't allow ourselves to be used negatively to influence to be used by politicians to be able to influence things in a way that will not add value to our society. So youth are redundant population as far as we are concerned, because when you are used by politicians to influence things and you don't have any say on it, so we can say we are redundant as it is now, and we are the largest that vote in the general election. So if we are the largest, we should be able to change things positively. So I can search that. So, and if we continue to take our decision based on getting money and material, so I can search direct and indirect food selling by our youth produce credible elections. So we need to change these perspectives, and it is the responsibility of all of us that are here today to continue with this advocacy and move around. Another thing is that poverty has been weaponized by political leaders in Nigeria to influence many jobless and hungry people. So these are some of the issues that all the organizations that we have here, I mean, We Together, Lead Africa, and Elect are. These are areas that we need to focus on and see how we can change the orientation of our people to be able to achieve our goals. Then the disruption of voting on election days are done by talks, and who could have been hired by politicians. Who are these? Who are the talks? They are youths. So a well-educated and enlightened youth is required to be able to drive credible elections. So as youths, one of the things that we need to ensure is to make sure that we change this narrative by 2023. So what are the SWOT? What are the SWOT analysis? What are the advantages, the strength, the weakness, and the opportunity and threat as regards the youth and technology in an election? One of the, for technology, the strength is it increased efficiency. It's also increased the speed of delivery because you can view the results every time. You can pick your phone and continue to stream in an election place. You can tweet, you can go to Facebook, and it also eliminates human errors because you don't have to put things manually down. You can easily send it. Then what are the weaknesses? The weaknesses are the limitations to network coverage. Like I said before, this weakness is almost non-existent in Nigeria again. We have good network virtually every day. And I've shown you some statistics at the beginning of this presentation that shows that the coverage, the access, and the internet penetration in this country is very huge to be able to support any technology that we want to deploy in our elections. So what are the opportunities in technology? It improves credibility of the process, and you can also take it to court to go and prove at the court that you actually won an election or not. And it's much more accurate. You know, it's much more accurate than what we have before. And what are the threats? The data need to be protected. It doesn't have to be, compromised. And when we have seen a lot of, even some states, some organizations have taken election into different level. The last election that was done in Kaduna, they did electronic voting, full electronic voting. The Nigerian Society of Engineers did election recently. It was fully electronic voting. I was in Abuja. I voted in my hotel room. You know, I did not go anywhere. So this is what we should be aiming at. This is where we are going. And as youth, we have capacity to be able to do that. And what are our strengths? Our strength is our population.
Engineer Kazim Suleiman, can you still hear us? Engineer Kazim Suleiman. Engineer Kazim Suleiman. I think we lost him, Engineer Kazim Suleiman. I don't know whether you are still able to hear us. Well,
We lost them, we can continue.
Okay, no problem. And I think we'll move straight away to our next speaker. I'm just hoping that we could sum up questions and responses after all our speakers must have spoken to us. And that leads us to our next speaker, Mr. Ahmed. Mr. Ahmed, if you are there and you are ready, you are up next to actually deliver your speech.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay, you have just 2 minutes to wrap it up.
So
please,
let me just round up. So in conclusion, our most important natural resources, national assignments as youth, as responsible youth, is to participate in election process that produce our leaders. So we must get it right in 2023, and we must serve as agents of positive change. It is very important we join political parties, we join different organizations like the organization that we have mentioned here to be able to change things positively. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I wish all of us best of luck in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the time and well taken. I'm going to invite to the floor now the principal system analyst with the University of Ibadan, Mr. Ahmed Olanrewaju. Of course, Ahmed Olanrewaju, just like you had me, he is the principal system analyst with massive resume from the University of Ibadan. He's got curriculum designer for digital productivity and research. He's got LGI tools when it comes to campus-wide administrator, chief system architect of Agricultural Exchange Africa. Is also the co-founder Artificial Intelligence Saturday Ibadan here, and also it's also the co-founder Ibadan our users group, also co-founder of TensorFlow Ibadan. Ahmed Olanrewaju is our next speaker, and is here and is live. Okay, yes, I'm also getting report that we're unable to connect with him. And in that regard, I think we will have to go straight away to the next segment, which is time for you to also weigh in terms of your questions. I understand the questions and the polls. Do we get responses from some of our speakers if they have an idea of those questions?
While the polls are going on, if you also have a question, just raise your hand, use the raise hand emoji, and I will give you the permission to ask your question.
So participants, if you have questions, raise your hand and you'll be given the opportunity to speak.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Oh, sorry, it's afternoon. I think probably where I am. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adebayo Adegbiji. I think I want to appreciate for engaging everybody here as pointers to the bigger society. I just want to speak briefly on some of the points of last speaker speaking about technology and youth engagement. Technology is fine, no doubt, but again, we can't overhype technology. Technology is an enabler, and that is the maximum capacity it can provide. Technology will not take the place of participation. Technology will not take the place of engagement. Technology will not take the place of strategy. In as much as technology is very important. For instance, you roll out some statistics on NCC and things like that. And I stand to be corrected. There are still places in Nigeria that we still don't have internet. There are still remote areas in Nigeria that the network is still very bad, even to send text messages and do phone calls. So the 100% that NCC rollout might not be correct if you are looking at Nigeria, especially outside the city. Now, coming back to youth engagement, I think that is where I have majority of the concern. The youth in terms of population in the last 15 years has been between 65-70%. That is the 35 years old and below. But the question is, what is in the brain of those youths? What exactly are they thinking about? What exactly are they doing? Is there any strategy? And let me tell you, anybody that wants to take power in 2023, it is too late for that person to start now. Everybody that wants to take power in 2023 have started probably 10 years ago. So the question, all the things we are doing now, will it bring forth any different effect by 2027? I pray the democracy doesn't get distorted. By 2031, are we going to have something very different? But again, what all the effort we are putting now is to make sure that we put in our best in terms of support, because that is the only thing I see the youth doing outside the major political party, which is APC and PDP, support and probably support for the election, except for those who have sown the seed, except for those who have been involved 5, 6, 7 years ago. Yes, they can put themselves forward for election. So my major point now is youth should think differently. And if they want anything different to happen in Nigeria, it's going to be a collective effort. The best time to do that is yesterday. For those who didn't do it yesterday, the second best time is now. Thank you.
I wouldn't know if any of our speakers would like to respond to that. Wouldn't know whether any of our speakers would like to just respond to what we just had. In the absence of that, maybe we'll take more observation and questions. You've been told if you're interested in adding your voice and lending your voice to this, just raise your hand.
All right. Thank you very much for giving me the privilege to speak. My name is Kabiru Amusa. I'm joining this meeting from Israel. I have been following this lead generation initiative long before I left Nigeria, and it's quite intriguing that this kind of program is coming up now to ensure that the youths have their voice or voices, so to say, in Nigeria electoral process. I've listened to all of the speakers, and they have actually put forth some brilliant arguments, even though I have some, let me say, difference in opinion concerning what some of them have raised. But this is not a gathering where we start bringing or pulling and pushing ideologies, because the main goal is we are still driving towards giving the youth an agency in electoral process in Nigeria. So I actually want to make this glaring. I don't want to reinvent the wheel of the previous speakers that they actually talked about. That's Mr. Adebayo Adegbiji. So I I don't want to actually accept some claim because.
Sorry, Mr. Kabiru.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I would like us to keep our questions short because we are kind of running out of time. So if you can please try to wrap up, and every subsequent person should, by giving you just 1 minute to ask your question. Thank you.
1 minute.
All right. Well, to cut the long story short then, I think we need to, beyond political party affiliation, we need to bring in some kind of engagement with the youth, not necessarily because of the coming electoral elections, but in a way to ensure that we put them in a tight corner for them to be able to decide their future. And this is because beyond political party, because if for someone like me, I still believe that PDP and APC is just like 6 and a half a dozen. So there is no different ideology in this political party. So if lead generation can come up with programs that has to bring in youth ideologies in leadership skills, like they have been doing in some aspects, I think this would be the best form of engaging the youth beyond just voting and all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And anyone still interested in contributing or asking questions within 60 seconds, please go ahead. Kindly signify by raising your hand and you'll be connected.
Mr. Michael, you can talk. Ask a question. 1 minute, please.
All right. Good afternoon. Oluyide Abiodun Michael is my name. From Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. And though I have some couple of things to say, but then because of time, so I will just have to go straight to the point. And if I can actually summarize everything that has been said on this platform, the conversation over time is participation, involvement, and being responsible to take actions and all of that. But then my question is this. Over time, this is not the first time you'll be hearing it. Go and get your PVC. It is a necessary, it's part of what you actually need to cause the change and all of that. But then it seems people are not getting to hear about the gospel they have been preaching. So my question is this, what other strategies can actually be used? Because then we cannot, the same way we can make use of technology to drive a lot of change, so we cannot still neglect the place of personal involvement and all of that. So what other strategies can we deploy to ensure people get this gospel and at least take actions as much as possible? And that is one. And secondly, I don't know, this might be a long-term question, so it might not be something that can that answer can be provided for now. But then, in my own little way, I believe if you said youth are actually major stakeholders as long as this movement is concerned, and students of tertiary institution contribute to majorly to this thing. So I'm looking, is there any possibility for them to at least move a motion in the floor of the house whereby they can actually bring the registration closer to students of tertiary institutions? Here, for instance, now maybe they can adopt in such a way that they can probably be a the way we have it in all local governments, whereby we have electoral office in all the local governments, whereby people can actually get their permanent voters card. So I don't know if there's possibility for them to raise it at the floor of the house, so that they can actually adopt it to other tertiary institutions, so such that at least it will increase and enhance the participation of students of tertiary institutions in this manner. So this is my question. Oluyide Abiodun Michael is my name once again, LGI member from Ogun State. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Maybe we'll take some couple of questions again, and our speakers will eventually do justice to those questions. Any contribution?
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Our protocol duly observed. I am Comrade Olufowobi Olarewaju Desmond. I'm calling in from Lagos State, be a youth activist and a promoter of youth engagement in politics. I think all the speakers that have spoken have done really good. They have done justice to the topic of discussion, which is youth engagement and the use of technology. Maybe the reason why the discussion today has been limited to the use of technology is because of the choice of topic that was selected by the organizer of this anniversary. Now, beyond technology, I think part of the problem we have presently facing in the field as youth mobilizer is the fact that the problem we have in Nigeria surrounds around the youth. The youths are part of the problem. So if we begin to look critically about the problems we have in Nigeria, it will help us to find a better solution to arresting the situation before 2023. Now, strategies that I think we should be deploying right now is to get youth more interested in politics. A lot of youth are not interested in politics. Everybody you have seen on this platform today are not the problem of Nigeria. Everyone that have signed in to be part of this meeting this afternoon are not our problem. The problems are the millions of Nigerian youth that wouldn't want to even sign up for this kind of discussion. And I meet with them every day. So I would like to advise, we need to look at what are the things that the youth really wanted. They want music, they want comedy, they want football. We can deploy a strategy around these things. Now, another thing is we should make it a point of duty that as we are thinking or looking ahead, our voters card should also be our ATM card. If there is a way we can use technology to ensure that our voters card is what we use in getting money from ATM, it will also increase the participation of youth in politics. Beyond that, you see, music, entertainment, comedy is something that we need to look a way around to see how we can get more of our youth in politics, using this as a strategy. Using it as a strategy, football, music, dancing, entertainment, use it and then bring a superstar like Wizkid and then announce that your gate fee, what you are going to use for you to get into the hall is your voter card or your party membership form. You find out that all Nigerian youth will join politics. Thank you so much. And I also want to appreciate our mentor, Honorable Abiola Shinopela, for bringing this strategy of our lead generation initiative and everyone that have contributed in this discussion today. Kudos to Madam, kudos to everyone. God bless everyone for making this a reality.
Okay, thank you so much. That is actually noted, and I'm laughing off, here, what I just had. Maybe if we have brought in Portable to be part of the contributors, one of the speakers here, or maybe we've asked the video to come and speak on this platform. You believe strongly that will have attracted more of this youth we are talking about to get on board this conversation. Noted. Who is next? Signify, so that we could take you.
I think we'll take 2 more questions and then we'll end this question session. Sorry to other people because of our time. Mr.
Okay.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I think there's something we are missing here. If we say youth should involve in politics, we have forgotten that any politics that is not grassrooted is not a politics. Politics should start from home, from home to the unit, from unit to the world, from world to the local government, upward to the level of state and federal. And all our youth presently believe in what they want to get or the gain they want to see. Likewise, the last speaker has said that youth love a lot of things like sports, like comedy, like music. Yes, if that is what we want to do, to get them involved, I think is better. And most importantly, we should advise our youth to get involved in grassroots politics. Anything without grassrooted, I don't think there's a way out in it. Let's try as much as possible to see how we can get our young people involved in grassroots politics. Thank you.
And thank you for keeping to the time. The last contributor question, you have the floor.
Yeah, you have the floor.
Hello. Hello.
You're on.
You have the floor.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Inka Adebola. I'm calling from Lagos. All the speakers, I'm actually on the road because it's type of doing service. I'm very sorry about that. In our nation, youth participation in our nation. To me, our electoral system is highly monetized. For any youth to get involved in any elective post, you have to have. So that's a very fundamental problem. Some of us are used to it in our infancy days, but our political system is highly monetized. We should find a way of reducing the cost from nomination form to intention form and what have you. The monetary aspect. I know, although election generally is very expensive all over, but in Nigeria, the poverty level is much. Part of the problem where youth is not involved in the political system is that our political office holder, they are not a promise keeper. This is the corner now. You will see our House of members, senators, gallivanting around now, and the constituency, the wards. After the election, they voted away. That's our problem. If our leaders are promise keeper, most of the youth in Nigeria, they have lost up system. That is the problem. Nigerian youth are fantastic and they are ready to contribute their quota. But the political leaders, they are not a promise keeper. I wouldn't want to mention a political party. From PDP to APC, they are same of the same. They are same of the same. So that's the kind of submission that our political leaders should please be a promise keeper and try as much as possible to reduce the poverty level in the land. The poverty is much, it's endemic. It don't give us political stability. That's my kind of submission, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. At this point in time, I'm going to.
I'm sorry, Mr. Isaac. Sorry, Mr. Isaac.
Yes, Mr. Sandy.
Yes, I just got a message now that we're being unfair to the ladies. So I will give 2 women the opportunity.
2 women.
Raising up a hand, and Peter, Rebecca. So we'll just allow them to ask their questions and then we can move.
That's fair and balanced.
Ms. Folaremi, you have the floor. Okay, I don't think she's with us. So let's see, Peter, Rebecca.
Kelechi, it seems like we also have a gentleman of problem. Hello, Kelechi, we have a gentleman of the press with his hands up. I don't know if he's trying to.
Yes. Hello. Good afternoon, please.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
You're a guy.
Yes, I am, sir. My name is Engine.
Sorry. Can you pardon us, please? We wanted to give the floor to ladies.
Okay, so I just wanted to put a contribution, basically, though. So I don't know if you can it's going to be as brief as possible.
Okay.
Thank you. So my name is Engineer Lukman Ajetimobi, also Falaromi Ajetimobi. I'm the coordinator for OFA local government of Kwara State, LGI, and I'm also an engineer. So I wanted to give a contribution basically because I've been going on with the program and I've been hearing lots of contributions. But then one of the persons that spoke made a particular comment. He said the youths don't seem to have an interest in the direction that we're going, which is political interest, which is actually very true. And the only reason why this is actually happening is because, for one, our educational system has actually been, collapsed. That's number one. So most of these things you are saying, you need to build interest, people's interest into it. So I just think, irrespective of how we're trying to see how we can get to resolve the situation of the country, I think we need to start from the feet to the head. And how do we start from the feet? Well, we're already having youths who are actually interested in, councilorships, chairman offices. If we can start from that ground level, we can be able to penetrate. That's one. Two, the present generation works with what we call track records. What is the track record? Track record is basically what the person coming in has actually done or impacted in the society. For example, if we use our great founder, Honorable Shina Pella, as an example, as a child, we heard of a lot of impact that Professor Pella actually did in the community, which, created a track record for him to actually, mount on. So my question is this, or my contribution is this: if there's a way we can create a track record network, whereby, for example, the educational systems in the Southwest are very much dilapidated. There's little or no sensitization in terms of this whole political interest thing. People are being more sensitized about opening bank accounts with banks. The banks are doing sensitization programs. The NGOs are doing orphanages. They're doing sensitization programs. All these other bodies are doing sensitization programs, but there's really no sensitization program that has to do with politics, with building people's interest in terms of politics. At the same time, I feel like LGI needs to create a system that we have a track record of anybody coming in, whereby when the person comes in, he already has an existing track record that can help to build up his protege, basically, so that when he goes there, he actually would have a higher chance, a better chance. Because the truth of the matter is this: APC and PDP, as far as now is concerned, they have a great impact in the minds of people. Even if people don't really know some people don't really know the negative impact that they have on the economy or the positive impact they have had on the economy. People just basically know that there's APC and there's PDP. So I feel like if LGI can get to that point whereby we begin to create track record programs that anyone can say LGI, once you mention LGI, it's going to sound as though you're mentioning APC or PDP. By that way, or possible way, just coming in and being a member of LGI could actually give you, a good protege to vie for a particular position and actually get it. So that's why I just basically think we have the technology on ground, yes. And with this technology, we can mount it into several means and possible ways of creating track record programs that LGI can mount on and be able to produce, good materials for each political seat, and at the same time can help to build the interest of the populace into politics and seeing it as being important as their daily living. That's all I have to say, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your question and contribution. So just as we said, we'll give the floor to one more lady, which is Okay Baltimore. So you have the floor now.
Sorry, Stanley, Kelechi, did you check if Rebecca Peter is on? She had her hands raised up.
Yes. She didn't join in with her audio, so she didn't join in with her audio, but she can't ask a question. I've messaged her privately already. So okay, Baltimore, you have the floor to ask your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
We can.
Yes.
Thank you. I've learned a lot from this platform, and I must really commend Lead Generation Initiative for this wonderful opportunity. So my question goes to Ibironke. I don't know if she's still on the call, but my question is simply about women participation in politics. We've had a couple of women that want to participate, that want to go for public offices, but cannot because of the trend of political godfathers trying to trade their bodies for the post. And this is something that is happening, although most people don't talk about it, but I've had a couple of times where some women that are legislators, that are public office holders, they talk about it a lot, and it's alarming. Like, what are the ways we can actually, I don't know, like, what are the ways we can curb this to the barest minimum, that women are not judged based on, oh, because you've not slept with so person, then you are not viable for this post. I'm sorry to use that word, but I hope you get my question. So my question is to Ibironke. I don't know if she's still online. What are the ways we can curb it? What are the ways we can report it, if any, if we have those kind of situations? Thank you.
Thank you, Jumoke. So we had a questions. I think someone will step up to answer all the questions that have been asked. Mr. Isaac, I don't know, you want to say anything before we hand over to Mr. Stanley?
No, absolutely. I think you know, everything is okay. I think Mr. Stanley can proceed.
Okay, Mr. Stanley, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Isaac Brown, an established voice and established nation builder from the media and also communication sector. Having worked with Fresh FM over time, your voice has sounded so loudly to the extent that it was one of the factors why we had to struggle and fight to ensure you anchor this event today. And we have no regrets whatsoever for having you on board. So thank you very much for a beautiful job. Well done, sir. Thank you, Kelechi, also for holding forth with both the tech and then the question components as well. I want to sincerely appreciate everyone that has been part of the event, particularly our speakers, Mr. Alhaji Ibrahim Abdul Karim, the Executive Director of We Together. Together as Nigerians, we're very confident that we'll build a country where everything would be functional again, that would prosper all of us, and then our country will have its rightful place among other places of other members of the international community, and also a place of honor, that having a nation that values the lives of its citizens. And that is exactly what the two organizations stand for, We Together and the Lead Generation Initiative. I want to thank our partner, Yaga Africa. For the past 2 years, we've been together going to all the states of the Federation. We cannot appreciate you enough. The best way to appreciate you is that we have to keep working to ensure that we galvanize or keep galvanizing young Nigerians for this task ahead. Just as someone asked earlier, that whether there's any option or alternative to what we are doing now. Of course, there are inventions and new things we keep doing, but the basic things, the basic constitutional responsibilities of people, we the people, in bringing ourselves together, sensitizing ourselves, that is still at the core, at the basics of what we need to do, either through the digital media or the conventional means of door-to-door visiting people. We have to keep doing that. And that exactly is what we've been doing with Yaga. So I want to thank the Executive Director of Yaga Africa, Mr. Samson Itodo, who was ably represented by Mr. Ibrahim Farouk. Ibrahim Farouk, who is also the Program Director of Governance and Democracy in the institution, has gone to almost all the states we've been to. So I want to thank you, Ibrahim, for your clear cut of value, voice of value that you've added to this conversation today. And also to the leader that we've also respected so much from the Lead Generation Initiative, particularly our Executive Director that has always talked so highly of her and the job that the lecturer has continued to do. I'm referring to Ibijoke Fabrode. thank you very much for your insight, for the voice we brought to this conversation, and also for the value. We will continue to work together, both with the organization and also with yourself, to ensure that we achieve our design goals for our organization. But we cannot end this without also thanking Engineer Kazim Suleiman. This is not a vote of thanks. And so I cannot thank you all enough. But just to make sure that we have a recap of the session that we've had, and to appreciate you most sincerely for lending your voice to this very important topic today. The questions or the suggestions or the contributions that have been raised, most of them were suggestions and contributions and not questions. As an organization, we also take seriously, we take notes of the suggestions, like last speaker who talked about how LGI can create a system, a mechanism where we are a credible platform that makes sure that our members or participants in the political system are people that we have a verified system that gives them or makes them stand out within the space. So we take all your suggestions into consideration. And as we go to the next session, we can assure you that within the next few days that we'll continue with our partnership with We Together, you can see those things manifest clearly in our works as well. So thank you very much, everyone. We would want to go straight to the next item on the agenda of this event. Earlier on, we've sent out an opinion poll that you have to, as they say, the voice of the people is the voice of God. So I wanted to hear from our participants and Nigerians directly on some very core questions and issues that are at the core of how best we can engage for credible elections. And we wanted to share some of the opinion and some of the views of Nigerians with our participants as well. We're going to share that with you, and then we'll make a brief announcement as to the LGI second anniversary competition. Every year when we celebrate the marks or the impact we make in the community and the society, we also try to engage young persons who participate in our events to see their thoughts on how best they think we can build a nation that works for all of us. And the best ideas and those who participate the most have very handsome rewards which we give to them, and very inviting rewards. The reason why we do that is because we want to keep people engaged and want to ensure that people, beyond just participating, have a sense of belonging, have a sense of responsibility, and within their own context too, can design and send to us exactly how best they think we can engage further, or collectively we can build a better Nigeria. After that, we'll have the closing remark, and then we'll bring the event to a close. And so I would invite Kelechi to share with us the result of the public poll that we conducted, and then would announce the results.
Okay, before you asked me, I already shared the results. So okay. Everyone, if you look on your screen right now, you should be seeing the results of the polls that were sent earlier. Or if you can't see it on your screen at the moment, you just click on polls on your Zoom, you see the results. And you can see all the questions on how you answered. So you see, starting from the first question, do you plan to register in 2023 elections? So that everybody answered yes. And so that is a good one. As I'm talking also, Mr. Stanley, if you have any contribution to any question, you can also let it know.
Okay.
Yes, so the second question, are you a registered member of a political party? 62% of you said yes, 35% said no. So, and then 3% said they will not be registering. So it's a good sign that 60% of us have registered to become a member of a political party. Those that said no, I hope you plan on registering, because it's very, very important. That is the essence of what we are doing here today, to encourage you to register to be a member of a political party. And those that said they will not be registering, if after today's program you are still not convinced to register, I don't know what else we can do. Because the essence of today's program was to convince you of the importance of being a member of a political party. Those of you that said I will not be registering, I hope you will change your mind and go and register, take out your PVC and go and register to be a member of a political party. And the third question, which party are you planning to vote for in the coming elections? You can see 18% of you said PDP, 59% said APC, 24% said other parties, and 0% said they don't plan to vote. So that is a good sign that everybody wants to vote. And then we have number 4. Do you think the ruling party has done enough to deserve re-election? You can see that the votes are almost equal. We have 35% for re-elect, 35% for another party, and 29% of you are undecided. Then number 5, what would you say is the most influencing factor for you to vote? Most of you said media, and that is 21% of you said the media. That is very key. We all know how social media plays a very important role in elections and in the electioneering process. We know that it's very, very important for us to know the importance of social media and how to use it effectively for our good in this election period. So all of us have, I'm sure that everyone here has a social media handle. If you have on Twitter, follow Lead Generation NG, Lead Gen NIG on all platforms, both Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's our handle, so that you can be part of this process as we count down to the 2023 elections. So you can get the latest news and hear from us regularly. Then the 6th question, do you think media influences election polls in Nigeria? And just as we said in the previous question, most of you said you strongly agree. Number 7, do you agree that your vote is your power? And 65% of us said strongly agree. So that is very true. Your vote is your power. If you don't vote, you are leaving yourself liable to anyone that comes up. You don't have a say in when people are complaining or criticizing the government. You don't have a say because you did not cast your vote. So your vote is your power, and you shouldn't sell it for anything. And the last question: what option of nominating aspirants for political positions do you prefer the most? 82% of you said direct primaries. 12% said indirect primaries, and 6% said consensus. So we now know the bill on the floor of the House at the moment for direct primaries to be the number 1 process for deciding aspirants from political parties. So guys, see that most of us think that is the best way to go about it. And we hope that those of us that are in political positions on this meeting today can see the opinion of the people, and know what they prefer the most. So that is the end of the polls. I will hand over back to Mr. Stanley to continue. Mr. Stanley, are you still on call? Okay, I think Mr.
Stanley is coming in now. Just keep the poll results on the screen. Stanley is coming in now.
Okay. Mr. Stanley, are you with us yet? Okay, Mr. Stanley, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Kelechi, for sharing the views of Nigerians. And just as you've said in the course of announcing the outcome of that poll and the results, rather, we would want to also let our participants know that the idea of democracy itself lies so much more with how much we as a people are able to take ownership of the entire process of both the campaign process itself, trying to scrutinize the credentials of competence of those who we intend to elect into public office, and also doing our own very best at the election period itself, ensuring that we elect credible leaders without necessarily selling our votes, voting our conscience, and then after the election itself, ensuring that we hold our leaders accountable, because it comes in three different ways: pre-election, at elections, and post-election. And this result that we've just announced, is a reflection exactly of what some people think today. But again, we want to go beyond how some people feel about where they are today, to a point where every one of us and every citizen of Nigeria votes counts. Our voices must be heard. But the voice can only be heard, or your voice can only be heard when it is deployed or it's being used in the right direction. That direction means that you must be involved in every part and every component of the electoral process. So thank you very much, Kelechi. We will do well to share this also on our social media handles, and then to encourage everyone to be involved in the entire part of the process. Earlier on, we told you that we made an announcement that we're going to let you know how to participate in our second anniversary competition. And to do that, we've set up some requirements of what we look out to see that you are qualified to win the prize. First, we would want you to be a member of a registered registered member of LGI. You must have your LGI number, and then at any point to which you want to claim the prize for the lucky winners, that you can present that. Or secondly, we would want you to have the two most important instruments as a citizen for election or within the democratic process, which is a voter's card or membership card of a registered political party with INEC. We only have those two things. Of course, you'll be qualified to participate. And of course, would have expected that you join or you're part of this conversation from the beginning to this point, because the next requirement will be for you to have a recap, to do a recap of the entire part of this conversation that we've had. And then through a video that you will do, to just a 2 minutes video. If it exceeds 2 minutes, you'll be disqualified. You share the video with us on your social media handles, and then you tag lead Gen NIG at lead Gen NIG, and we would have to repost all those that would participate. Then the participant with the highest number of likes, because we want the people to be the one to judge who is the winner in the entire process, would be contacted, and then the person will be the winner in the entire process. Our handle has been shared. Our handle has been shared, and on the chat box, so you can just go to the chat box and then pick the handle and tag us in the case of any.
Mr. Stanley, we can't hear you anymore.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can hear you now. Mr. Stanley?
So the person with the best likes will be the ones that the people would have selected for the participation in what we're doing. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking, because I would know that most of us would want to participate in that part of the process. So thank you very much for being part of. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So sorry. I'm having a call coming, so it is difficult to. Thank you very much, everyone. we would want to take the last item for today's event, which is the closing remarks and vote of thanks from the Director of Programs, Mr. Kamal Olosho. Mr. Kamal, you have the floor now, sir.
Mr. Kamal.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Kamal, you're muted.
Hear me now?
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
I hear me. Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good afternoon once again, everybody that has been part of this conversation. What a time conversation on an election eve. We all know that we'll be having the 2023 general election in just a few months, which is not up to a year now. And the topic has centered around we, the youth, and the technology. So the takeaway here now is, and then the most important tool that has been featured here for all of us to get now is our PVC, which is the permanent voters card. And again, to try as much as possible to be a registered member of a political party. We thank everybody that has been part of the show. First and foremost, we give all praises to Almighty God, who spared our lives and enable us as individuals and organizations to have positively impacted the youth of Nigeria in the last 2 years. Our appreciation also goes to the founder of the Lead Generation Initiative and leader of Yoruba Land, our own Honorable Dr. Shina Abiola Pella, for providing the platform to come together and work for a better Nigeria, and recently moving around the nation to preach peace and ensure that the country is peaceful, to allow for meaningful development. It is only in the midst of peace that we can experience development. We say a big thank you to him. Profound gratitude to our amiable and very energetic Executive Director, Chief Mrs. Abiola Pella, for her leadership quality and programs aimed at engaging and connecting all the youth across the country for civic and political participation. Our panelists that has shared their thoughts today with us. We thank Mr. Samson Todo, ED Yaga Africa, Mr. Ibrahim Abdul Karim, We Together Nigeria, Mrs. Ibijoke Faborode, Executive Director Elect R, the woman with very, very impressive profile. It is my hope that the discussion here today will galvanize the youth of Nigeria towards the improvement of a better Nigeria as we go into the next general election. Particular appreciations go to the moderator, Mr. Mayor Isaac Brown, and all other participants on this call. To our numerous members across the country, I say happy anniversary to all of us and hope for more collaboration and completions as we journey this year through Lead Generation Initiative to achieve our strategic objectives and aims. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Happy anniversary to all of us once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamal, our Director of Programs, for the closing remark. It's on this note that we'll have to bring this event to a close with national anthem. Thank you all, and God bless you. You have a lovely day ahead of you.
Thank you, Mr. Stanley.